All right. So, Kaysen, thanks for being willing to do this reluctantly.
Willing, yeah.
Reluctantly. So we brought Kaysen on today. We want to kind of talk from the sell side, some of the things that he's encountering with different builders and developers and stuff like that when he's talking to them. And he's going to kind of interview me, but I'm going to interview him at the same time. So he has some questions that he's going to ask that specifically talk around some of what we think the industry is looking at wrong. So, Kaysen, go ahead.
Yeah. So just over the last few months talking with you, one of the biggest pet peeves you have in the industry, it sounds like, is the way people bring you quote unquote deals.
Correct.
And the way they bring other developers and builders deals or land.
Yep.
So what does that usually look like when someone brings you a deal?
Yeah, it's either really blank or really, really like chaotic. And so they either send me just a ton of emails with a ton of PDFs, and those PDFs are about anything and everything. And when I ask them to clarify or try to clean it up, they have no idea how to because they don't have any development IQ. And so that's one. And then the other one is, hey, Jane, 5 acres, Alpine. And then that's all they know. Mm-hmm. And they don't, sometimes, even the worst case scenarios, they don't even have a relationship with Jane, But, and Jane has, no idea who they are or anything at the same time. And so it's just, kind of a weird scenario all around. And the fact that they throw it at us and then they don't do any homework with it, like they have no idea why it's of value to me. They have no idea other than they just set it up on the MLS or they just threw it out to a million other different people. And so that's kind of a blank stare scenario. And then they encumber that with, hey, if you do figure it out, if you do all this work and you do all the effort, you owe me 2% or 2.5%. And so I'm encumbered to kind of have that negotiation. And so I just think it lacks spirit and light all around. So,
yeah. What are some things that, I guess, what are some things that they could be doing due diligence wise or homework wise that would make it better?
Absolutely. So one of the major things that they could do is get educated on what a developer or builder wants. Number one, understand specifically what they're looking for before you send them something that they're not even, because it's so time wasteful to the organization for them to have to look at something, read through your junk and realize, well, it doesn't even match our box. So that's kind of one of the things that they could do is better understand the relationship they're sending it to. The other thing that they could do is actually have a, IQ around development and knowing how to qualify dirt, like what goes into good dirt versus bad dirt. How can I know that I'm giving somebody a good piece of dirt versus just randomly giving them a 5-acre piece that's on a hill, huge, and be like, oh, I see people in Draper all the time work on hills like that, I think, and so anyways, that stuff just does not work. We're super jaded. The industry in of itself is super jaded with real estate agents and brokers ignorantly thinking they know how to list or how to put out a piece of dirt and market it, but they honestly don't. And so it's just an organizational time suck and resource suck for sure.
Yeah. So why do you think it is this way? You think it's just we got used to doing it a certain way? Do you think it's just because they can list it and get a fat check from it? Or why do you think it's been this way?
Well, there's a bunch of different things. You're fish in water, and then also as a human, you try to take the easiest route always. And so you want to pass along any effort to somebody else. And I think that that's the number one thing is they don't know the effort, so they don't think that they have to figure out and educate themselves on what the effort is. And so they've never taken the time to do that. And so the easiest pathway is well, cool. Of course, I want to list it for this guy because there's potential money there, but I don't know how to do the homework. So I'll just do what I have normally traditionally done on a house. And I'm just going to put it on the MLS, or I'm just going to shove it out to the world. And I kind of maybe have these relationships, and I can just look up a builder and I can just send it to their acquisition guy and hope for the best. And so I think that that's what it is. And I think that we've allowed them to get away with that as fish in water because that's always what they've done. Mm-hmm. And so from our perspective, one of the things that we've wanted to do with NACSA in our qualification process is stop the brain damage and kind of reset the industry standard for what a qualified opportunity looks like. So that when relationally we're connected and we're feeding qualified opportunities to somebody, they know when it hits their desk that it's been, through development IQ. It's actually been evaluated relationally. So they know that it fits their box. And then secondly, that the dirt actually got ferreted for quality, for what it is.
So when you say fits their box, you're talking, okay, these guys do single family homes or townhomes, and this zoning is specific for them. They could actually
Correct.
build their product.
But also size and scope, Kason, right? We talk about, everybody, a custom onesie and twosie guy isn't wanting, 600 lots. So it's also knowing the person you're talking to, understanding their real needs. That takes time and effort. Right. And, on our side, we've kind of expedited that quite a bit by, having them fill out their surveys and then dumping it into the tech that we've been developing over, 7 years now. And I think it's super productive to feed people a value and not just crap and garbage.
Right. Okay. Well, that kind of leads us to the next one.
Cool. Keep going.
All right. So most builders that I've talked to, because that's what I'm doing, I'm reaching out to builders and trying to get them
and developers
builders, developers.
Yep.
Get them to take out a survey so we know kind of what their box is.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an idea of who they are, what they like. Every builder that we've talked to has said, they want they would rather have a willing seller, someone that's already ready to sell their dirt, rather than a qualified piece of dirt that they know fits their box.
Correct.
I guess what's your opinion on that?
Well, let's define willing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does willing really mean? Does that mean, hey, they're just a willing seller again? Like, hey, Jane has 1 acre in Alpine and I'm Lennar and I can fit one house on that 1 acre. Am I excited about that? No, absolutely not. And we use a dating analogy all the time mm-hmm. when we're talking with builders and developers and we're moving on to investors. That's your next move with everything. But when we're evaluating this situation and we're presenting a scenario to somebody, a buyer really makes up 3 components, I think. And this is where I think every other business industry looks at it the same way. And we just don't for some silly reason. And I think that business is tried and true across, industries. Mm-hmm. And a good practice is a good practice. And it's copy paste, right?
There's certain things that work in every single industry.
Absolutely.
Principles that are true in every single industry.
Absolutely. So we'll get to our dating analogy, but let me first kind of talk to the 3 principles. I think that there's always timing involved in the scenario. I think that there's a relationship involved, and then I think there's quality involved. And the timing is just that. It's timing. When can they do it, right? Or when are they ready to do it? Mm-hmm. Well, to know that, you need to be around. You need to have a relationship with
Right.
them. And they want to, another rule of thumb with the relationship is that they want to sell it specifically to you. If the timing's right, but they don't want to sell it to you, what a waste, right? But the only way they're going to really want to sell it to you is if the timing's right and you've built a rapport and a relationship and an understanding with them, especially landowners, right? Landowners are coming from generations of buildup. You know, your dad owns land and he's a farmer, and so you get this, and it's passed down from dad to dad to dad. It's a legacy thing. It's an emotional thing. It's not just, you know, just a flippant thing. And so when you show up and their, you know, timing is ready, yeah, they'll look at you, but they're not going to evaluate you at the same level somebody else who's built a rapport with them and they feel like they have confidence and they trust. They're going to close on what they feel, not what they think.
Right.
And that's always a relational play. And so you have to, again, take, you know, the timing as well as the fact that they want to specifically sell it to you as a value. And the other side of it is you want to buy it. You have to want to buy it. So even if they like you and their timing's right, but you don't want to buy it, right? The buy it side, you want to buy it, is the qualified side. It fits your box. And so those three things are really, really important in every other business industry. When you're looking at things, they have nurture pipelines. What they do is they cut out their customer profile. They know exactly what it is that they want. And then they do nurture campaigns and different efforts to reach out and massage those relationships. You know, you don't expect people to trust you day one. You don't expect people to, I mean, it's such an entitled approach sometimes, the way builders are trying to look at this. They're like, you know, I need a willing guy that's going to sell it to me first day I show up. Come on, is that real? No, normally you're going to have to nurture that relationship for 6 months, a year, 5 years even, you know, and then they'll reach back to you, and that's called an inside track, is once you've built the relationship and you're not just one of the numbers in the masses with these individuals. So from the dating side, to get back to the analogy we throw, what would you rather in a dating scenario? And Leland's in the background. He's single, and so, you know, he knows all about this dating stuff. But, you know, I'm retired. I hung up my cleats a few years back. But when you're dating, you honestly, which one would you rather have? A room full of a bunch of willing people I have no idea whether or not I'm interested in, or a room full of like an auditorium, just a bunch of girls that I'm interested in, right? That I want to pursue, that I want to date. I'd rather that. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the control back, because in my case, it's then how well can I sell myself, right? And so it kind of gives me the control back. So I think that industry-wide, we've been looking at willing definitively wrong, absolutely off.
Yeah, it seems like if you're looking at if someone's willing or not, you're only looking at one of those three things. You're looking at, okay, is the timing right? Are they ready to sell?
Yep.
And you've forgotten about the other two.
Yep.
And then by the time they are ready to sell, it's like you're saying with the relationship.
Correct.
They might be ready to sell, but they're probably going to sell to someone that's built that relationship over who knows how long.
Yep, absolutely. And so the relationship side is a huge component. And then the quality side as well. Like, not only does it fit in your box, like let's say a piece of dirt fits in your box numerically, but it's, I mean, I don't know, it's got bedrock and, you know, high water table and all the worst topography and everything else. Like, you also want quality, and we've talked a ton about the qualification process. And you're dead from a farming side. You have a great analogy for that too. But
you like making fun of me with the Mr. Leafy.
Yeah, Mr. Leafy and proteins.
yeah. The analogy I always give is, you know, a farmer. So my dad, he's a hay farmer. He sells a lot to dairy farmers. You know, they're looking for the best quality hay. It sounds funny, but you know, it's real.
Yeah.
And
no, totally.
And there's got to be a certain level of protein that you got to hit. It can't be straight stems. It's got to have a lot of leaves in it.
Yep.
It's got to be, certain moisture levels. It can't be bleached out. It can't be rained on.
Yep.
And I always say it's like the way people bring deals to builders or developers. It would be like my dad going to a dairy farmer and saying, "Hey, I've got a ton of feed if you're interested." And then the dairy farmer being like, "Well, like, what is it? Like, what's the protein levels? What's this? What's, has it been rained on?" And he's like, "I don't know, but here's the address. Actually, maybe not even an address. Here's the general area. Go check it out."
Correct.
And then expecting the dairy farmer to go and do all the testing, looking at it,
Yep.
seeing if it's something that would even fit into his box.
Correct.
Excuse me. And then my dad expecting, a check for $400,000 for the hay. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense at all. And
No.
And when you look at it from that perspective, that it's like, well, duh. But then for some reason with real estate, it's like we have a hard time seeing it. that way.
Fish and water.
Yeah.
It's the way they've done it for so long, and we've accepted that as the best practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get into flat tire organization. And there's a difference between being profitable because you've done it that way for a long time, and test, measure, and adjust, and always improving your life and being better each and every day. That's called productivity. And you can be way more productive and profitable than you are inefficient and profitable. And the two add up to a huge difference in wealth growth for sure, organizationally.
So people that are like, I've heard a few builders and developers say too, well, once we know they're willing to sell, then we can go do the due diligence.
Yeah.
So I guess
Well, it's it's knowing your customer profile, right? You want a pipeline full, an auditorium full of the type of deals or opportunities that you want. So every time you're spending your, marketing dollars or your efforts from the organization side, your energy, you're spending it on the right deals, the right opportunities.
Right.
That's why the quality in the customer profile is first. You don't wait around for somebody to tell you they're willing. What you do is you go and build out a business around the profile of individuals that you would like to go after. Then you do efforts to build a relationship with that group.
So then instead of all of your energy and your efforts going towards something that you might not know will even work out, or
Correct.
if it's going to fit in your box, where that would be a waste.
Yes.
It's like all of your energy, your resources, your time is going towards something that it's definitely something you're wanting.
It's called closing.
Yeah.
Right? So instead of spending 90% of your day weeding through stuff to try to figure out if it fits your box and everything else, you're spending 100% of your time closing and nurturing Topgolf, dinner, I don't know, take them to Alaska, whatever it is you want to do. I know some of the big players will even do that. And so you're nurturing this relationship and their legacy and their family, and you're showing that you actually care, that it's not just a numbers game for you. And that builds the inside track where they trust and they have confidence and they're willing to actually be a willing or participant in the close process.
It's a lot different than having a few conversations over the course of a few months.
Yep.
And be like, oh, they're ridiculous. They're wanting way too much money.
Yeah. And they're all based around legal too, to build confidence, right?
Yeah.
So you show up on the door and you're like, this is what we can offer. Here's our offer. Here's our number. And then, here's an LOI that ties you up. You can't date and talk to anybody else, but you don't really know me and you're pushing this. Oh, get an attorney, by the way, and it just doesn't make any sense from a relational, classy, professional, spirit and light side of doing business. It just doesn't match. So I think we've allowed it to go on way too long, and this is our effort to kind of upgrade the industry to say, no, there's quality that should be done here to make your organizations more productive and financially benefit the bottom line and your organizational success, for sure. There's a way better way to do it.
Better for the bottom line, but also better for, you always say, the brain damage of
Oh yeah.
of land acquisition guys, the brain damage that from all the due diligence that
Absolutely,
they gotta do.
they're the expertise guys, right? And also, like, you're paying them the premium, so they're the most expensive person on the book. Do you really want them weeding, or do you want them closing? 100% you want them closing.
Right.
And so to respect them for their job and what their expertise is in, they should know how to negotiate, structure, build relationship, be the face of your brand or company better than anybody else. And they should be doing it with a stewardship of spirit and light and a level of professionalism that earns people's confidence and trust. And if you have that, you're going to close at a higher rate than the 1 in 90 that you're currently having to deal with from the brain damage side.
Yeah.
Any other questions around that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That was it.
So if this is resonating with you, we hope it is. You can find us at McClaryCompany.com. We also have a school app. School app. Yeah. You can go and find us and reach out. We'll talk to you about pretty much anything. Appreciate it.